Here is a tiny yet mighty desk fan by Iris USA. I picked this up today for $5 at the Goodwill. There was a very large quantity of these units there. I'm going to say somewhere between probably 30 and 40 units, which is kind of odd. I have no idea what the context is behind these things, but it's got this sticker on the side of the box that says Purge 8/25/24, and then it says 206 of 252 cartons, which I would imagine is an abbreviation for cartons. So some store just got rid of 252 of these, I guess. Probably for some invalid, stupid corporate reason. But at least the fans made it to the Goodwill as opposed to just being discarded. It appears to be unused and unopened. I've been kind of curious about this fan. I've seen these around. A couple other collectors picked them up this year. And I suspect it's a pretty good product. As of now, granted I have limited experience with the product line, but as of now I have a very good opinion on the Iris brand, or the Woozoo brand, which it's the same thing as far as I can tell. I did look up the price of this on the Jungle website as of today. As of this taping, it is retailing for $16.99, and it claims to move air 32 feet. So I got it for $5. I forget what the actual percentage is, but I read somewhere a while back that the Goodwill, and I imagine that other thrift stores do the same thing, they try to price the items at a certain percentage off compared to what it would be retail. So this has, in these reviews, I think they should be taken with the entire container of salt, but this has 4,301 ratings, and it's rated 4.5 out of 5, which is pretty good. 3-speed, it claims to be only 27.5 decibels of noise, which is extremely quiet. That's like almost inaudible. Very, very quiet. Let's see, there's one other thing I wanted to show. So I guess we have Dreo, which is another one of these brands that's kind of submerged recently. That's a knockoff of Vornado. And then we have Vornado. I think that this is probably the most comparable fan to this. And this is $22. So the Iris Woozoo is considerably cheaper. I don't have any experience with that Vornado fan. I think Vornado, at least as a company, it still stands behind the products very well, but I don't have a very good opinion of Vornado's recent products at all. Their quality has gone down landslides since the 90s and early 2000s. According to the specifications, it only consumes 13 watts, which is extremely efficient. It only moves 7.4 CFM, so I really don't see how this is going to push air. Is it 32 feet or whatever crazy claim that it made. It is made in China, but so are the other Woozoo fans I've used, and they seem to be very good. So this one, oh, it doesn't show it on here, the pictures, but I have one of these bigger ones. I can't remember if it's the 46 or the 52, but the bigger one that I have is an excellent product. Very well designed, performs well, came with adequate lubrication, etc. So if this one is half as good, it would be a decent product. let's take a look. The box, well, we can't see much of the specs because there's the sticker on there. It doesn't really say much. 3 speeds and tilt adjustment, that's about it. I don't know where this originally would have been sold. I don't know. I'm not certain, but I think that Iris is a Japanese brand. Inside we have a paper manual, which is actually very thick. It is multilingual. It looks like it's got at least 3 languages. Doesn't seem like there's any Chinglish in here. Looks like it's allegedly very easy to clean. That's interesting. It even tells you if there's low airflow, it's probably dirty. Comes in plastic film, of course. Here's the fan itself. It very much is just like the larger model, but smaller in terms of shape and so forth. So we have the fused plug, which is fine. The fuse is replaceable. And as far as the motor goes, it appears to be a shaded pole C-frame motor. That spins extremely freely. Circulator fan, that's a stretch. Made in China, Iris USA. 0.2 amps. It's a very small motor. I was hoping it would be a PSC, but it is not. Yeah, it's surprisingly heavy. It doesn't feel super cheap at all. Tilt seems to work pretty good. Goes down a little bit. The knob is labeled on both sides. Actually, it just appears to be able to go all the way around. That's kind of a weird design. Snaps into place real nice. It feels like a good quality switch. Well, let's plug it in and see how it works. The main reason why I like these fans is because they're very quiet. At least the other ones that I have are. Normally I'm not really into the modern stuff that much, but I sure do like quiet fans. I saw a couple other collectors pick these up this year. I was curious about them, but not enough to spend $17. $5, sure, video will pay for that. Alright, oh, the kilowatt meter, I have to plug that in. See if it really only draws 13 watts. We're going to be testing at 118.5 the volts. Let's go to the watts and we'll start it up on low. It's quiet. It's pulling 0. It's pulling, no. 6 watts, 0.08 to amps, and has a power factor of 0.5. Power factor is going all over the place. 0.65, which is pretty standard for shaded pole. Wow. Only 0. I'm getting confused because it's putting a 0 in front of the number for some reason. Only 6 watts. That's hardly any power. And I have to say, I'm actually impressed. This is pushing a tremendous amount of air for the size. It would be nice if we had a more precise adjustment. So those are pretty steep adjustments. Huh. Well, I'm all the way across the room here, and it's not like there's a tremendous amount of air blasting over here, but I can absolutely feel it. And this has got to be a good 8 feet away. And it's very quiet too. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And the power draw is exceptional. The balance is reasonable. It's not 100%, but it's within a reasonable margin of error. These are kind of rubbery on the bottom, but they're very, very hard. Alright, let's go to medium. And that is 8 watts, 0.11 the amps, and 0.64 the power factor, which is still very little power. This feels like a much bigger fan. I'm very impressed with the amount of air this is pushing for a, what is it, a 4-inch blade? The blade is tiny. Yeah, I'd say it's about a 4-inch blade. I would say about 6 feet away, you've still got a solid breeze. Now they're saying it moves air 32 feet. Well, I don't know what measurement that is being used to say, like, at what point is it not moving air anymore, and because I highly doubt that you can feel the air movement at 31 feet but not at 33, so I don't know how that's being measured. But in terms of, like, can you really notice and feel the fan, I would say you know 4 to 6 feet away you still can really tell. I can feel it further than that, but it's like, you know, it kind of fizzles out a little bit. That's really throwing some air. I'm impressed with this. Let's try the high. On the high, that is 12 watts, 0.18 the amps, and 0.57 the power factor. Very, very poor power factor, but I guess because the motor is so small, it just doesn't consume a lot of power. What did this say for the power information? It said 13 watts, it pulls 12, so the specs are right on. It's very quiet. I think this is still below average in terms of noise level for like a basic 6-inch desk fan, you know, maybe something like that. And this moves more air, for sure. It's pretty strong. Now if we start moving back here, this is a good ways away from the fan. Let me get the tape measure out here just to prove that we're not making stuff up. Okay, so right now We are 7 feet away from the fan. And at the 7-foot mark, there is considerable airflow. That's impressive for a fan this size and for this much noise level. Let's go back to 9 feet. At 9 feet away from the fan, you gotta find the stream. It's a very small stream of air. There's still airflow. It's not a lot. By no means is this like blasting you out of the water here, but it's certainly able to be felt. There it is. There's the stream of air. 9 feet away. That is impressive to me. I've used larger desk fans that don't even hold a candle to this in terms of performance. And it's quite quiet. I thought it was going to be much louder on the higher speeds, but this is very reasonable. My favorite desk fan has historically been the Lasko 2002W, and whatever the Air King equivalent model is, because it's so quiet. This, I think, is just as quiet or more quiet. Now, I'm standing about 5 feet back, and on low I can still notice a substantial breeze. I'm not sure I buy this 32 feet max here distance thing, but 15 feet I could see maybe. Put this over here and walk all the way across the room. I can feel it about 15 feet away. It's not much. Is this super useful? Not really. But I can detect that the air is moving. It's really impressive either way. Realistically, I would say maybe 10 feet. 8 to 10 feet is where you're really going to feel it. But anyways, let's shut it off. And watch those bearings glide. That's impressive. That almost looks like ball bearing type performance. Those bearings are very well lubricated, which is a problem I notice with a lot of newer fans that don't come with adequate lubrication in the bearings, and it leads to premature failure. So let's see how easily is this cleaned. It looks like these 4 screws come off from the back, and then we should be able to get inside the fan. Let's take a look. It sure seems like this is designed such that if you can use a screwdriver you should be able to clean this. And the screws are actually, are they standard like number 2 size screws? Yep, they sure are. How easy is that? 4 screws, it comes right off. You can throw this in the dishwasher. The blade. That's got some serious pitch to it. That's pretty impressive. Actually, I think it was quieter with the guard on. Yeah, it was. The airflow is all over the place now. Not as good. So the aerodynamics of this are actually designed pretty well. It moves air better with the guard on. That's often not the case. I'm very intrigued by the bearings on this. I don't think it's ball bearing because it wouldn't have that play if it was ball bearing. But wow, those bearings, they are just gliding free. That is extremely impressive to me. The screws are falling out the back. Yeah, just a tiny little C-frame motor. Does the blade just pull off easily? The blade does not seem to want to pull off easily, although I don't see why not. There it goes. Yep, the blade comes off, you can throw that in the dishwasher. And the motor, it is, I can't imagine it's ball bearing, is it? No, I think it's sleeve bearing. But as was the case with the other one that I have, the other Woozoo fan, I can see the oil in there. It's got plenty of lubrication. So it's built properly. Wow, look how freely, I can't believe how freely that glides. That is unbelievable. Wow. Of course, only time will tell, but this is really promising. This looks really promising for long-term reliability. And it looks like the mold is pretty reasonable. The blades are in good clock, which is rare for a plastic mold, it seems. Yeah, that's very reasonable clock. That's impressive. The guard does go on only one way. There's a flat side and then a rounded side. Looks like the rounded side goes on the right. Lines up pretty easily. And the screws are just going to drop in place like this. It's easy to service. You can use a screwdriver, you can clean this. And that's kind of becoming unusual nowadays. a lot of these fans made today, you find like security bits and all sorts of stuff holding them together, trying to keep people out. This clearly shows how to let people in, and the instruction manual even tells you to clean it. Well, I think this is great. I would pay $16 for this as long as it lasts. At $5, I'll certainly pick up a few more. I am really impressed by this, most notably the bearings. It's quiet, it's powerful, and it seems to be relatively... I can't believe how quiet this is. It seems to be relatively well made, especially compared to what's out there today. It's surprising. Was the freeness of those bearings is just, I can't get over that. It's unbelievable. That is absolutely astounding.